rather than talking about it. He's been working in the superannuation and financial planning industries since 1988, and with his wife Meg, has now built a successful national business focused on self-managed super funds. He has a clear vision and is driven to share that vision with his staff and team through his 3 key concepts of clarity, climate, and competence. Martin is a coach, a delegator, and says he is a right-brain thinker and leader. Thanks for meeting with me today, Martin.
Pleasure.
So let's begin with, as a business owner, we'd like to know what your priorities are when it comes to leadership from members of your team.
Okay, I think the important thing for me is that the leadership team or the members of the leadership team believe in the vision of the organisation. They understand why the organisation exists and what it is trying to do for all of its stakeholders. I think it's difficult to be a leader in any organisation unless you genuinely believe in that. Secondly, I want the leaders to embody the values of the organisation and have them on these walls, we've got them on the other walls. So in doing their work within the organisation, I want them to do the work in a particular way from a values perspective rather than a task perspective. So I think those are probably the 2 key things: believe in the vision, understand what it is, obviously, believe in it, and deliver that in a way that is in accordance with the values that we think are appropriate. So I see my job as being the person who sets the scene for that. So my role is really to formulate the vision, which is all about why the organisation exists, and I can talk about that if you want to talk about that, and provide the environment and the context within which the leadership team can do its stuff.
We just talked about the leadership that you want from your staff members. What leadership style do you use?
I'm a coach, a delegator. So I was a right brain leader. I'm not a left brain leader. So I'm more of a conceptual, emotional person than a logical left brain person. And I believe in providing the environment for the staff within this organisation to achieve their potential and be capable of doing as much as they want to do in delivering their own potential. So I listen. I think I'm pretty open to other ideas. I'm not directive.
Throughout your career, have you witnessed any leadership traits that struck you as particularly effective or ineffective, for that matter?
Well, I think Nelson Mandela's probably the ideal leader. Yes, he wasn't leading a business or a small organisation, but I'd say what he did was probably the most amazing change management exercise in the history of mankind. So Nelson Mandela is one of my idols, I suppose, and I wouldn't be alone in that. And for me, what he was about was, again, listening, openness, forgiveness, sacrifice, and calm. There's a good quote, actually, from a Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu, which I quite like in relation to leadership. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." And that's, I think, a good way of summing up what I'm trying to do here.
How do you define the difference between a manager and a leader?
In the perfect world, if leadership was done perfectly, you wouldn't need any management. So if you have a situation where I talk about something called the 3 C's, which is clarity, climate, and competence. My role in the organisation is to provide that. So where are we going, which is clarity, climate, what do we need in order to get there in terms of resources? We need an office, we need computer equipment, we need funding, etc. And we need the competence to use those resources in conjunction with the vision, which we talked about at the start, understanding where we're going, have competent people who can deliver that. If I got that perfectly right, then I wouldn't need to manage anything because it would just be delivered. But Nirvana is not like that. So management really, to me, is kind of filling in the gaps that Nirvana creates. So you never have perfect clarity. You have never got all the resources that you think you need in order to deliver what it is trying to do, and competence is mixed. And if people are to develop, then you have to give them an environment in which to become more competent at what they do in order to self-actualise. And management, to some extent, to a large extent, I think is around that. So management fills in the gaps around the 3 Cs. I don't know whether that makes any sense.
Now, although Heffron is a national organisation, is there any local business person that you find inspiring?
If I was to name somebody, and I don't know them that well, it'd probably be Alex Abrams, Pacific Smiles. I've only met him a couple of times, but I don't know him well. But what I do admire about him is that he's taken a regional New South Wales-based organisation onto the national stage in an unusual and interesting way. Dentistry doesn't lend itself intuitively to that kind of franchise-type operation, so it's an interesting idea, and he's obviously done it very successfully. So he's taken it from regional-based to small business, founded it himself, and he's been able to lead that organisation and find people to help him self-actualise his idea, obviously in a financially successful way, but in a way that provides great service to customers and provides an environment in which all of his staff seem to enjoy working. So that's a pretty good effort.
I think so.
Yeah.
And that's a great note to wrap up today. Thank you so much for your time, Martin. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
If you'd like to get in touch with Martin, you can find him on LinkedIn.